You wake up every morning and the first thing you do is make coffee. You don't even think about it. It just happens, like breathing, but with caffeine. And honestly, fair enough. But here's the thing. That innocent cup of coffee sitting in your hand right now, it has been banned by governments, declared the drink of the devil, used to fuel slave labor, weaponized by corporations, and is literally the most traded commodity on earth after oil. After oil. So let's talk about the dark history of coffee and why it's way more insane than you think. Coffee was discovered around 850 AD in Ethiopia, and not by a scientist, not by a king, by a goat herder named Kaldi. Kaldi noticed his goats were acting absolutely unhinged after eating berries from a certain tree, dancing around, not sleeping, full send energy at 2 a.m. So naturally, Kaldi did what any reasonable person would do. He ate the berries too. And then he also went absolutely unhinged. He told some monks nearby. The monks made a drink from the berries, stayed up all night praying, and just like that, coffee was born. From a goat herder watching his goats go crazy. You're welcome. Coffee spread through the Arab world in the 1400s and almost immediately caused problems. Coffeehouses called kahwe started popping up everywhere in the Middle East. And these weren't just places to drink coffee, they were places where people gathered, talked, debated, argued about politics, made fun of rulers. So naturally, the rulers panicked. In 1511, the governor of Mecca, a man named Khair Beg, decided coffee was dangerous. Not the politics, not the arguing, the coffee. He banned it. He claimed it was intoxicating like alcohol and therefore forbidden by Islamic law. The problem was, the Sultan of Cairo loved coffee, so the Sultan overruled him, had Khair Beg executed shortly after. Turns out banning the boss's favorite drink is not a great career move. But Mecca wasn't the only place that tried to ban coffee. In 1600, Pope Clement VIII was asked to ban coffee by Catholic priests who called it the bitter invention of Satan, the drink of the devil, literally. They said it was so popular with Muslims that Christians drinking it was basically a betrayal of the faith. The Pope agreed to investigate. He tasted it. He loved it. He blessed the coffee and said it would be a sin to let only non-believers enjoy it. Pope literally saved coffee. Absolute legend. Then coffee came to Europe and things got really interesting. Coffeehouses exploded across England in the 1600s. By 1700, there were over 3,000 coffeehouses in London alone. 3,000. These became known as penny universities because for the price of a penny, which bought you a cup of coffee, you could sit and listen to the smartest people in the room debate everything: science, politics, business, philosophy. The Enlightenment, the entire intellectual revolution that shaped the modern world, was largely planned and debated inside coffeehouses. Insurance company Lloyd's of London started in a coffeehouse. The London Stock Exchange started in a coffeehouse. Basically everything that built the modern world was decided over a cup of coffee by people who were absolutely wired on caffeine. But then King Charles II of England decided coffeehouses were dangerous because people were plotting against him in them. He tried to ban them in 1675. The public lost their minds. He backed down 11 days later. 11 days. That's how fast a coffee ban collapses. Now here is where it gets dark, really dark. When coffee spread to the colonies, especially Brazil, the demand for cheap labor to grow it exploded. And just like sugar, they chose slavery. Brazil became the world's biggest coffee producer in the 1800s, and it was almost entirely built on the backs of enslaved Africans. Over 1.5 million enslaved people were brought to Brazil specifically to work on coffee plantations. They worked in brutal conditions, extreme heat, 18-hour days, no pay, no rights, and the coffee kept flowing to Europe and America, where people drank it happily in their cozy coffeehouses, without asking a single question about where it came from. Brazil only abolished slavery in 1888, the last country in the Western world to do so. And even after abolition, the workers who replaced enslaved people were treated barely better, paid almost nothing, trapped in debt, unable to leave. Same system, different paperwork. Then, in the 20th century, the big coffee corporations took over, and they did something fascinating and horrifying at the same time. Coffee prices are set globally on commodity markets, which means farmers, often in Ethiopia, Colombia, Vietnam, Guatemala, grow the coffee, but massive corporations decide how much it's worth, and they set the price incredibly low. A coffee farmer in Ethiopia can spend an entire year growing coffee and earn less than $3 a day, while a cup of that same coffee sells for $6 in a London cafe. Same coffee, $6 a cup, $3 a day for the farmer. The math doesn't math. Today, over 125 million people depend on coffee farming for their survival, and most of them live in poverty, while the global coffee industry generates over $460 billion a year. $460 billion. And then there's the addiction part, because yes, coffee is a drug. Caffeine is the most widely consumed psychoactive substance in the entire world. It works by blocking adenosine receptors in your brain. Adenosine is the chemical that makes you feel tired. Caffeine blocks it, so you feel awake. But here's the twist. Your brain adapts. It grows more adenosine receptors to compensate, which means you need more and more coffee just to feel normal. And when you don't have it, headaches, fatigue, irritability, brain fog. That's withdrawal. Actual drug withdrawal from your morning coffee. Studies show regular coffee drinkers who stop suddenly experience withdrawal symptoms within 12 to 24 hours, peaking at 20 to 51 hours and lasting up to 9 days. 9 days of withdrawal from coffee. But sure, it's just coffee. It's fine. So let's recap. Coffee was discovered by a man watching his goats lose their minds, got a governor executed for banning it, was called the drink of the devil by Catholic priests, saved by a pope who couldn't resist it, built the entire intellectual foundation of the modern world, was produced through centuries of brutal slavery, still exploits millions of farmers today, and is a literally addictive drug that puts you in withdrawal when you stop. But sure, have another cup. You probably need it anyway. If this made you question your morning routine, subscribe. More of this every week.